and welcome to the Doofcast, a film and TV podcast from Doof Media. My name is Scott Daly, and joining me, as always, it's the reason your mom told you to never stick your head out of a moving car window, Matt Freeman. How's it going today, Matt?
I don't know if that's going to come across on the mic.
I don't think people are going to get.
It's going great. I'm so happy that we get to talk about this movie.
Oh, interesting. I am too. So people, I don't know if people remember this, maybe they're new and just learning this, but this week, back in January, we took a break from a series we were doing for the Oscars, but we are back now with our series looking at the best 25 films of the 21st century. We did this last year in 2025 to celebrate, the first quarter of the century. And then we didn't finish it. So we are back with this series. We're going to see it to the finish line now. And of course, these films are all voted on by our patrons. Matt, how are our patrons doing that?
Well, they head over to doofmovies.com, and if they are a patron, then they're able to log in and authenticate via Patreon, and then they can vote on which of the movies from the full list of movies that came out in the 21st century they want to vote on, and their votes are then factored into the overall total or the rankings on the front page, which everyone can see. And then what you and I have been doing is going down that list and covering all those movies. Of course, the list has jockeyed a bit over the intervening weeks. But all that being said, the next one that we need to cover is this one, Hereditary.
Yeah. This is our 10th film of our list, Matt. So 15 to go. We still got quite a bit to do. But I think this is going to be a lot of fun. At least an interesting conversation this week.
Totally.
All right, Matt, let's just jump right into it. We don't have anything else planned for this week. So, Matt, Hereditary, what is this movie all about?
A grieving family is haunted by tragic and disturbing occurrences.
This movie was written and directed by Ari Aster. It is actually his first film. It stars Toni Collette, Millie Shapiro, Alex Wolff, and Gabriel Byrne. Matt, I know you had never seen this movie before. What did you think of Hereditary?
I mean, just like everybody said, it was really funny. No, it was great. I mean, it's a great movie. I can see why people say that this is a great movie. I can see why people put it this high on the list.
Yeah.
It's upsetting and horrifying, and there's also a lot of layers to it. Like, I feel like if I were to predict how this conversation is going to go, we actually spend less time talking about how scary it was, and we spend more time just talking about like the characters and the story and the Toni Collette, like that, because that's where my attention was watching the movie. You tell us, how do you feel about this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I loved this movie. I saw it in theaters back in 2018. I think I've said this before on the podcast, but we've never gotten a chance to talk about this movie, so I'll say it again. This is, I think, probably one of the most viscerally impactful and uncomfortable movie-going experiences I've ever had. And I mean that all in a good way, right? This is exactly where the movie wants you. The movie wants you kind of horrified, uncomfortable, disgusted, it achieves all these things beautifully. I went to this movie really not knowing what I was getting. I had heard the buzz. I'd heard people talking about how good this movie was. And of course, my wife doesn't like horror movies. So I went by myself to a movie theater. I still remember the theater. I remember the time of day. It was in the middle of the afternoon. And I walked in this movie and I was just like, I was terrified. I was horrified. I was everything that this movie wanted to feel, and I was captivated. It is a remarkable film. I had the privilege of not knowing what was going to happen to Charlie. So that moment in the theater was perfectly shocking for me. And yeah, no, I really like this movie. I really like this movie. I really like everything Ari Aster has done. He's like, this is such a statement movie, and he goes on to he's made 3 more movies since then. One of them actually, I think we're talking about next week, because somehow in our rankings, both Hereditary and Midsommar are like right next to each other. So it's a double dose of Ari Aster. But I've liked every movie he's done, and I'm really here for this director. So yeah, I look forward to chatting about this movie with you.
Yeah, me too.
So, I mean, I think maybe Toni Collette is the place to start, but I mean, I agree with you that like this movie is very scary. This movie is very horrifying, but it is the performances and it is kind of the story under it all that is perhaps the most captivating, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had maybe I should just talk for like 5 seconds about my really weird and slightly embarrassing experience of how I consumed this movie.
Yeah, go for it. I think this might be featured in the cold open of Flanagan's Wake next week, but in case it's not, or you don't listen to that show, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so I like YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I like to watch YouTube videos in like the video essay format or analysis format. One can imagine why I would enjoy that format. And and I'm sort of, and like I kept getting recommended videos about Hereditary or clip, and then once I started watching those videos, I would get shown clips of Hereditary, and I never really wanted to watch it because I had been told over and over that this is just the most heinous, fucked up shit you'll ever see in your life, and it's disturbing and horrifying and terrifying, and I don't usually seek that out, but I was really fascinated by what I was seeing in these clips, and so as a consequence, not just clips, mostly video essays, but also some clips, I'll admit, I sort of saw all of the terrifying, awful stuff in the movie, and I understood. I understood the story. I understood how it all fit together, but I never saw the movie. Okay, so I finally saw the movie literally tonight before sitting down with you, and it was interesting. And I'm mentioning this because like it wasn't quite the movie I thought it would be. I'll admit that I probably wasn't as shocked and horrified by the things that I was supposed to be shocked and horrified by because I knew they were coming.
Sure,
but what I was focusing more on was just like the sort of nightmare tone of it, and the intricacy of the Toni Collette character. I blank on her name. Her character is this interesting kind of mystery where she is highly flawed. She is struggling with all of these ways in which she is recapitulating some of her mother's own abuses while desperately not wanting that to be the case, and like hating that about herself, but then she'll snap and she'll rage at her son, and there's just all these fantastic moments throughout the whole movie where you kind of see her like half knowingly, half consciously either lie or intentionally misunderstand a situation so that she can kind of come out looking like she's okay, and it's because she's afraid of looking crazy, right? She's so afraid of looking crazy that she's in fact acting crazy. That's part of the sort of Kafka-esque nightmare that is the movie. And you almost wish that it was just that she was crazy. Her husband is another fascinating character where it's like, from his point of view, it's like, oh, his wife is just succumbing to the same mental illness that her mother had, and this is really sad. And I didn't expect to like him as much as I ended up liking him, and kind of he's, for whatever reason, his character isn't one who ends up in the clips, but so I kind of was not aware of him as a character, and he's so soulful and tragic, and I love that character so much. So really, I was just the experience of watching the movie was like, oh wow, these are fantastic characters. That is not something that came across watching this in a series of 106-minute clips.
Of course not, Matt.
Yeah.
Maybe watching the movie would have been the good thing to do. Yeah. No, I completely agree with you, and I love that you had this experience. And it is these people, like one of the things that kind of the sequence, of course, that everyone talks about. Well, I think there's a couple sequences in this movie that everyone talks about, but like the Charlie death sequence is one that like you just don't quite see coming, and so it's shocking. But like the part of it that I truly love, and the part of it that for me it went from just like a moment of shocking surprise to a moment of like holy shit, of like what the fuck, of like oh my god, is when you realize what the son is going to do, what Peter is going to do, that he's so shell shocked by this thing that he just drives home and walks into his bed and just passes out and does nothing, tells no one, does nothing. And then this build up to the scene where you hear Toni Collette like, I'm going to go run to the store and get some paint. And you're just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, here we go. Oh my God, oh my God. And it's just like the build and the tension of that just like propels you through the movie. And that happens again and again and again throughout this movie. Like the dinner sequence is the other big scene that everyone talks about when the three of them are just sitting down for dinner. And that is like, this is a horror movie, right? This is a movie with demons in it, with monsters in it. But it is essentially just about this family and this fucked up, broken family, just attempting to make it in life and failing, essentially.
Yeah, right. I think that's the thing that people have discussed quite a bit. So I think we can address it and not necessarily recapitulate the whole idea, but just that it's a metaphor for inherited trauma, inherited, mental illness, and the way in which that can feel like this inescapable trap where even the things that you're doing to try to escape from it are somehow, again, I like it. The movie has a Kafka-esque feeling to me, a tone. It reminds me of Metamorphosis, where it's like, this is an inescapable nightmare and nothing makes sense. But the fact that it doesn't make sense is not an out. So you just have to deal with this. This is your life now. That all works great.
Yeah, I mean, it's your demons. You pass your demons on to your children.
Yeah.
Only literal, right? That is essentially what it is. And that is true. And we got to kind of see how that unfolds throughout the movie. So yeah, we don't need to spend a lot of time on that. But I like the Kafka comparison. I really do, because like there's a lot of moments of this movie where you're like, I think it would be absolutely fair to say, and I think the more you study and watch Ari Aster, like the more you'll see that he loves to play in a sort of ambiguity. Is like, how much of this is actually happening? Is it 100% of it? Is it 50% of it? Is it none of it? Right? Like one sequence that really stood out to me that I remember the sequence, but I had forgotten what happened is, it is the sequence in which she sleepwalks into his room and sees the bugs crawling all over Peter's face. And that's the sequence in which she says, I never really wanted you. And then has like the wonderful immediate cover her mouth moment that is just great. I had forgotten that sequence is quite possibly something that occurs just in a dream, and she never actually echoed all these sentiments to Peter, actually, because we have like a wake up shock from a dream moment right after it.
Yeah,
this whole sequence goes down. So the kind of dream logic of the movie as a whole, I think is very powerful.
Yeah. Nightmare vibes the whole time. Things are often not happening, or when she throws the book in the fire and then it's her husband who catches on fire. That felt like, because it's like there's not even any reason that would happen. It's just kind of a fuck you. But it's like, well, that's the world that she lives in, where even when she attempts to sacrifice herself to save her family, she just kills her husband. And in fact, that's the moment where, again, talking about ambiguity, something happens in that moment where she just totally breaks, and that's when she's able to be possessed. Yeah. And then we really never see her again. Like that character is gone in that moment. She just is this monster after that point. Actually, that's the point of ambiguity. It's like, well, is that because she's just totally lost her mind, or is that because she's being possessed by the demon? I admit, like, some of the YouTube videos that I watch take this very tactical realism analytical approach where they're like, and then this is what's happening, and Paimon moves to this person, and then Paimon moves to this person, and Paimon, who was actually the girl the whole time. And I'm just kind of like, I mean, I'm sure that's probably right, but I don't know if that's how I was processing the movie, or how you're really meant to be thinking about the movie. Like, that to me, that sounds like the typical thing that everyone really does to some degree, where, oh my God, this is upsetting and disturbing. How can I make this feel less disturbing to me? Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. I will read a whole bunch about Paimon, the demon, and the rules of Paimon, and get really analytical. And I'm not saying this is wrong. Nothing wrong with doing this. It's just like that's definitely not the experience of watching the movie. That's actually distancing you from the experience of watching the movie. So a lot of this was just ambiguous to me, and I was like, it's fine that it's ambiguous to me.
Well, it's so kind of backgrounded, and like, you know, so much of the stuff we learn is not the movie kind of telling us directly, but we're inferring through things, right? Like, I think you're absolutely right. Like, there are clearly defined rules here, but they are not foregrounded. Like, yes, we know that Annie's mother took Charlie right from when she was born. And so we can maybe play a game where we're like, okay, so Paimon has been in Charlie from the beginning, and perhaps Charlie has never been Charlie and has just always been this demon, right? You can make that argument. I don't know if I care to. Like, I think I'm with you on this, where just I find just the emotional experience of watching the movie more fun than trying to break down and analyze when was what demon where, what exactly did what. Like, I think the more fun part of it is just kind of saying, like, as you said, this is a nightmare. This is horrifying. This is the embodiment, the horror genre's embodiment of the fears everyone has, that our parents' issues will be passed on to us, and then that we will inescapably pass those same problems on to our children. And we don't have to follow we don't have the rules are unnecessary. Like, I don't care about Paimon, right? I don't give a shit about the literal demon itself and what the rules of the demon are.
Right, because just on that note, I mean, I almost feel like I had the wrong idea walking into the movie, because I had this impression walking into the movie that, like, Charlie is secretly Paimon. And that's not technically wrong, but it's more like, you know, Charlie doesn't know that she's Paimon. Charlie's just this girl, as far as Charlie knows. And it's like, well, then what's the difference? That whoever this character is, all they're aware of is of being Charlie, and they're this little girl, and they're kind of weird, but like, and they clearly, like, their emotional registers are a little off kilter, but you feel for them. They're not evil. Like, the only thing that Charlie really does that's even slightly dark would be like cutting the head off of a dead bird, and it's like, it was dead, you know. I can get over that.
It's a little weird.
It's a little weird. It's definitely meant to be a little weird, right?
Yeah.
And she kind of draws creepy things, but it's not like she's drawing like horrifying things. She's just sort of drawing things that she sees in kind of a slightly creepy way. And I mean, her mom is if we just look at Toni Collette, her mom is also an artist whose art is incredibly creepy, so you can hardly blame her.
Don't you want to recreate the scene where you just gave birth to your baby and your mom came and offered it her breast?
Yeah.
Isn't that the thing you need to remake? And then, of course, she does the same with, it's how she processes her stuff. But it is, I think you're right, supposed to reflect, like, hey, this is a little weird.
Yeah. And it helps you understand where Charlie's coming from. So then in the end, for us to say, like, you know, I'm speaking emotionally. Like, emotionally, my understanding of the ending of the movie is Charlie, a terrified girl who is highly confused because she died, finds herself in her brother's body, sees her own decapitated head and the dead bodies of her parents and grandmother, and is surrounded by naked cultists who are telling her she's a demon. And like, to me, that's the horror, right? The horror is imagining what Charlie is experiencing in that moment as the movie ends, the soul of Charlie, right? Which happens to be the demon Paimon, but like, I don't care that it, like, so that's what, I know I'm harping on this maybe too much, but I'm highlighting this because walking into the movie, I really felt like it would be this almost moment of like dark triumph as like Paimon takes his throne. And you know, I'm trying to think of another movie example where it's like, you know, it's like a downer ending where the bad guy wins, but that wasn't really it, because Charlie is the one experiencing that.
Yeah. You're right. She's not like Peter, not standing there triumphantly, like looking around as like, haha, yes, this is my world to conquer now. It's just this look of a confused little girl,
yeah,
who doesn't understand what's happening.
right. And who, like, it was, I mean, not funny, not haha funny, but I was like, what do these cultists expect to happen now? Like,
Right.
like what do they think is going to happen? And it does kind of make you like literally wonder, like, what happens after this? Like, what happens the next moment after this scene?
Sure.
You know, what does Charlie / Paimon in this guy's body have powers now? I mean, quite possibly, because apparently,
sure,
you know, levitation is not off the table. So, I don't know. I'm just, anyway. The emotionality is really what's important, though.
Yeah, I agree. I do still really like the read that all this, like, none of this crazy shit happened, and it's just a woman went insane.
Mm-hmm.
She lost her mother and then lost her daughter in rapid succession and just lost it. And that's it. And like, this is and like, so everything we see is the illusions of people's minds breaking down, because you can see the same thing happens with Peter. And yeah, so Toni Collette is going through this psychosis. Her husband tries to get her to stop it, and so she sets him on fire.
Yeah.
And then she did, you know, one thing he says is, you dug up her body, didn't you? You dug up her body. And like, yeah, we could see that, right? Like, she does disappear at night constantly, and who knows what she does. She sleepwalks. Like, dude, Toni Collette is, well, we haven't said this yet, she's incredible in this movie. Like, incredible. And like, the dialogue, like, the thing I'm thinking of specifically is when her friend Jane, who we realize is asking about Peter, not just offhandedly, but realize after the fact is asking about Peter because Peter is the vessel, whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, how's your relationship with your son? And she goes, oh, well. And then she, like, so matter-of-factly tells a story about how she doused both of her children in paint thinner.
Yeah.
And only woke up and stopped herself when she lit a match.
Yeah.
And the way Toni Collette acts that scene, like the kind of casual, you know, it is what it is. Of course I wasn't going to hurt him. Whatever. Why are you freaking out about this? Is like so crazy to me.
Yeah.
But it's so well done.
Yeah. No, I love that. Then all the subsequent sleepwalking scenes, there's the moment where she's telling him, like, I forget exactly what she says, but she's like, tell your father I'm not sleepwalking or something. And it's like, she totally is. She's telling her son to lie because she doesn't want him to start to think that she's crazy, which that's what she's worried about. She thinks that she is, like, becoming more, you know, starting to lose her grasp on things. And yeah, I don't know. I would have to rewatch the movie, kind of consciously holding in mind the frame of this is all in her head.
For the record, I don't think that's true. But, and like, I don't think the movie needs that to be true for it to work. But I do kind of like that you could take either read with it. I like the ambiguity of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I agree. Because again, I think it also just makes the metaphor work better. That it's like, we could all find ourselves in this position, whether or not there's an actual demon.
Sure.
And I mean, there's like an extra level of horror that there is an actual demon, and thus no one believes her. Another thing I wasn't expecting was like the seance scenes. All the seance scenes were like really effective on me.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I just really love them. I love the glass moving around. When the
chalk on the chalkboard,
even just the small moment where like Toni Collette's hair drifts slightly and she like flinches and freaks out, which is totally what you would do in that situation, even for something really minor like that. Love that.
Yeah. Like, this is Ari Aster, man, and he's just really good at this stuff. Like, a lot of the stuff they wanted to do practically, like the chalk on the chalkboard is just literally, they put a magnet in the piece of chalk and had a magnet under their table and were dragging it along. They wanted to do this as practical as possible. it really just makes everything feel very tangible in a way that like this is actually happening. This is actually happening right now to these people, and it does like I think it's because I mean, if you go into this movie completely blind, and I know you didn't get to do that, like this horrible thing happens, but you don't really understand what's like going on. And then suddenly Jane is like pulling her into a seance, and then suddenly things are actually happening. And you're like, wait, what is happening? Where are we?
Yeah.
Like, maybe if you went in completely blind, you wouldn't even know what type of movie you were going into. And suddenly this stuff's happening, and it changes your perception of the whole film.
Yeah. I agree. In fact, I was noticing that where the way she's holding the glass, it's actually in a way where you could have believed that like, oh, this is a trick. She's just tricking Toni Collette. She's got her thumb and she's moving the glass with her thumb, and it's kind of it's kind of under her palm, and so you can't see it. And I felt like this feels like okay, you're tricking us, and you're going to show us in a second that it's just a trick. And then the movie very quickly, does not do that, and in fact starts to do stuff that seems clearly impossible.
Yeah. The glass moves without anyone touching it very quickly. So yeah, it's a very fun way of setting up your expectation and then immediately subverting it. Because it keeps you on your toes. You don't know what is real. What is real here? What is happening? What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. Joan, I also really enjoyed her performance because for most of the movie, she seems very, very genuine and believable. And in fact, I was for what it's worth, I was not spoiled on the idea that Joan is a cultist.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Yeah, so that was one element where I got the fun experience of just like there would just be a little beat of how she reacted to something or her emotional tone. Like I think my favorite. I mean, once she started talking about seances, I was like, okay, this is clearly not like she's clearly not above board. But there were just little reactions, little tiny reactions, and again, it's not like a super overt sinister thing. It was just enough to make you go like, huh? What? What's up? What's up with that? Like what? And then you're like, it's probably nothing. It's probably nothing.
Yeah.
But it puts you in that same paranoid state of mind as the character. So
yeah, I mean that's what Toni Collette does as well, right? She's got the moment where she's kind of off put by this person, but then finds herself drawn to her, sees the welcome mat, immediately clocks it, and then it was like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she's got the opportunity to talk to Charlie again, it kind of blinds her, and she just goes full force into that. I do love that, like, we get that moment where she wakes up Peter and she wakes up her husband and brings them downstairs, and she has already successfully contacted Charlie, right? I was doing quotes there.
Yeah.
Who knows if it was really or what. We didn't get to see that scene.
Right.
Like it just happened, and then we're catching up with it. And I think that is part of what Ari Aster is doing to throw us off balance, because it's like we are kind of, for most of what happens with Annie throughout the movie, we are firmly locked in with her point of view. And then the movie starts like releasing us from that. And it's disorienting because we're like, wait a minute, why didn't we get to see the first like, is she right here? Is she wrong here? What does this mean? Why did her arm catch on fire when she threw the thing in there?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like you said a bit ago, the rules, there are rules, but I feel like we don't get enough data to really understand them, which adds to the sense of dread. I mean, there's certain horror movies where they show you the rules so that you can understand, like, okay, we've seen such and such behave in a consistent way. Now the characters are going to leverage that against the evil, and they're, maybe they're still going to lose, but at least there will be like a fight. But this movie, I think that's one element of it that felt nightmarish, is at no point do you feel like there's even a fight. No one understands what's going on. I mean, maybe the closest to it is when she does try to burn the book, because that's like the one thing where she feels like, okay, there's cause and effect here. they don't want me to burn the book, so that makes me want to burn the book, but then it just backfires.
Yeah, but even that, like, I like, we're kind of told that is going to work, but we're told that by Annie, who doesn't really know what she's talking about. I think she's just reacting emotionally in the same way we are. And so, like, there's never a moment where you feel like, like anyone's going to win. Yeah. there's no winning here. Yeah.
That was one sequence, by the way, just to nail it in, like that she's begging her husband to throw the book in the fireplace, just like begging him. And we know that she expects this to kill her.
Yeah. She's kind of saying goodbye to him as she's begging him to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's beautiful and heart-wrenching. And then he refuses. And then, and then she throws it, which you expect to make her burst into flame, because that's what happened the first time. Mm-hmm. And then it's the opposite. Now, I love just brackets within brackets here. The idea that she just set him on fire. It's like she did have a thing of kerosene in her hand and a match. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's entirely possible. But I don't remember well enough to go through all of the like beats and say like, well, that could have just been her doing it. But I think a lot of it was, though. I mean, a lot of it is meant to be like that. Like the scene when her son wakes up and he's like, "You were pulling on my head." We don't actually know. Yeah. Like that could have been him having a nightmare and feeling like somebody was pulling on his head, and then he wakes up and his mom's shown up quickly. but yeah. I mean, I lean toward, again, it's intentionally ambiguous, but I lean toward the idea that like, no, she was sleepwalking. She started trying to yank his head off in his sleep and then woke up and then, in a panic was like, "Oh dear, are you okay?" And, play it off basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is all like designed to keep us off kilter. Like there is never a moment. That's one thing I really felt in watching it today, because like I watched this. Okay, my boss. I watched this at work today. I watched this movie 2 times this week because I really wanted to get in. So one of the times was at work, and I'm sitting at work in the scenario where like no one else around me is like freaking out because none of them are watching this incredibly intense movie on their phone, but I am. And the movie is just kind of relentless. Yeah. Like there is never a moment that it really gives you an out. It allows you to calm down. It allows you to settle. It allows you to feel like you have a grasp on what's going on and what's going to happen. And like from every beat, even in the early parts, like he's forced to take Charlie to this party and you're like, oh God, what's going to happen? And then in what is almost a comedy beat to me, there's this girl at the party chopping just the most walnuts ever.
Yeah.
Like ever. Like this is the biggest pile of walnuts I've ever seen that she's chopping, obviously to ultimately put into the cake. And we've been primed by this, with the worrying, like Charlie's eating something and Annie is like, did it have nuts in it? So we got her nut allergy down. Yeah. And then like, I don't know. I didn't go to too many parties in high school, Matt, but I don't remember someone like just baking a cake in the middle of a party. But who cares, right? It's part of how the movie doesn't live in reality and doesn't play in comforting you. Yeah. Because it just all is, as you said, kind of a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think that there was, I know I've seen at least one take that this movie is supposed to be at least somewhat funny, and it's a very, very dark humor, right? Like I think the one shot that they reference and that I kind of agree, and not shot but sequence, is the over the topness of like Toni Collette finding her decapitated daughter in the car, screaming, and that's a moment that is built up to with this horrible dread, like you just said. And she's screaming and screaming, and then we like, it's not even a J cut; it's some non-existent letter, because we cut to her like screaming on the floor of her bedroom, same exact scream, same tone of scream, same intensity of scream.
Yeah,
we cut to presumably days later at the graveside, same scream, same intensity, no letting up of the, and it's like, okay, that's a bit much, isn't it?
The implication here is that she has not stopped.
Yeah.
Like in days, like this
Right.
has just been her constantly screaming. Yeah, I mean, and it is like, it is almost overpowering you with too much to where it starts to drive to absurd. Because I agree with you. Like, by the way, this is the first time I've watched this movie since I had children, so I was able to very much put myself in her shoes, imagining this thing happening to one of my children and how much that would destroy me. And so the early parts of the sequence where she's like, I just want to die. Like, I just don't want to be, I just want to die. I don't want to be here anymore. Please just let me die. Like, that kind of screaming was like very emotionally affecting. Right.
Yeah.
But then it just kind of keeps going.
Yeah.
And you play a note for so long, and eventually becomes kind of funny that you're playing that note for that long.
Yeah. It becomes surreal. I think, I mean, funny is an odd word. I mean, I know I'm the one who literally just said that it was funny in a dark way, but it's like I think we really just say funny because we don't actually have the right word, because it's a weird emotional state.
Sure.
It's a state of like, this is absurd, this is surreal, this is weird and unexpected, and that is close enough to being humor that we kind of start to feel like it's maybe funny. But it's really its own kind of thing. It's its own kind of Ari Aster thing, where he's taking you on a journey, and that's the point where the train leaves the tracks and we kind of move into Fantasyland.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's the moment when the supernatural is introduced explicitly, but that is the moment when we kind of leave the grounded tone of reality, and it becomes a bit of a ridiculous tone. And then shortly after that, it becomes literally magical.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, I agree with all that. And we haven't talked much about the kind of miniatures portion of this, because this is Annie's job. This is what she does. I like so much of the film is shot as if these characters were existing in a miniature version of the house, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows the first shot, right? The first shot that starts on a miniature and zooms in and zooms in and zooms in until it becomes just the room, and you don't even kind of realize that's happening.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's just a great shot, and so many other, like, I think Ari Aster does a couple things directorially in this movie. One of them is he does a lot of close-ups on faces. Like, he sits on people's faces a lot, and that has a really added effect of making really dramatic angles that cut off most of what you can see around them, which helps scenes be more intense. But when he's not doing those kind of extreme close-ups, he's framing his shots from the side as if we are looking into these rooms like they're a model.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think that's, like, I read that they had to this entire house in the movie was constructed on a soundstage, the whole thing, because they wanted to basically fly a wall away and put a camera right there to have this side view cut away into the house as if it was a model. They wanted to be able to do that with every single room in the house. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
There was definitely, I definitely would need to rewatch it to notice this more, but there was at least one spot where the camera very conspicuously moves, through a wall, and you can see the internals of the wall because they have removed, everything that was in the way, because it's exactly like you said, it's this cutaway. I don't remember any other times that it moves through the wall in the same way, but yeah, just overall, yeah, the idea of the dollhouse, I love that. The miniatures are interesting because it's like, I just the fact that she does these miniatures, the moment when she's making the art of the her daughter's death with her son sitting in the car and everything, it's so interesting because that's, and the placement of it narratively, it's a point in the movie where you haven't really thought at any point that she herself seems particularly off kilter, but you see her doing this and her husband's reaction to it, and then her reaction to her husband being like, it's just an objective recreation of the death, and you're like, you don't realize how weird this looks. Like you don't. This is it doesn't occur to you that this is a weird thing to be doing.
I think she says something to the effect of like, it's just an objective view of the accident.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah. And it's like, yes, that's not really a retort to what I'm saying though. It's not about him. It's not about him. It's like, yeah, I know, but why are you doing it?
Yeah.
It's the first moment in the movie that I remember thinking like, uh-oh, she's not quite right, is she?
Yeah.
Which is fun because the movie has been situating you very much with her being kind of our protagonist and our safe character who, you know, we're experiencing these things with, and then we realize we can't really rely on her. And that happens more and more over the movie. We start talking about sleepwalking and pouring turpentine on people.
And it's like, God, the way Toni Collette, I know we've talked about this already, but I just want to say it again. Like the way she reveals this information to us, that the choices that she's making as an actress, it's just like, holy shit. Like when she goes to the grief meeting and she's there, her mother has just died. So she's talking to these people trying to grieve this thing. And she just starts talking about like what happened. And like, it's this monologue where like she's saying the worst fucking shit that ever has, right? Like, and you know, my older brother, it's schizophrenia. And when he was 16, you know, he hanged himself, as you do. It's just like and it's like horrifying. And you can tell like everyone around her is like,
yeah.
but it's such a really, really fascinating way to kind of clue you into how Annie has dealt with and processed what has been just this incredibly traumatic life.
Yeah.
Her mother had this terrible thing. Her father starved himself to death because he had dementia. Her mother had dissociative identity disorder. Her older brother had schizophrenia, or so they thought, right? This is the thing of like, he hanged himself in his bedroom. He blamed her because she was trying to put people inside of him, which is probably just true, right? Paimon wants a male, so they were probably trying to use him.
Yep. Yeah, and dissociative identity disorder was probably demons trying to possess her, right? If we're talking in the frame of the movie. And she's, you know, using her family for these things. I wonder, like, this definitely is not like a criticism, but I find myself thinking in this moment, like, is the story cleaner if there's not other cultists, if it's just this woman and her, you know, daughter and granddaughter and her legacy as a person? Is that a cleaner metaphor? Because the cultists, I find that I'm just slightly chafing at the reality of this and just being like, okay, so there's like actually like these naked people here, like this just feels like it's coming from out of left field in a way, and I'm not, and maybe, and I think that's the intent. Is it like it feels super weird and disturbing, and nightmarish and all these things, but I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I wonder if, you know, I think the argument that this is all in Annie's head and Peter's head would have a lot more weight to it, I think, if the cultists were completely cut out of the film, right? Because then you could really say, no, this is just them going crazy and imagining things. Then you add these cultists in there, and I guess you could still make that argument as like, yeah, he's having a psychotic break, he's imagining people and things, but without the cultists there, I still think that's an easier argument to make. And ultimately, maybe it's just that the movie did not. That's the argument the movie did not want to make. And so like keeping the cultists in here is part of building this argument that no, all this stuff is really happening actually. And like, we want you to understand that like, this is a horror film that perhaps ultimately intentionally playing with genre conceits in the way that horror films do, where it's like all this demon stuff is real, but it's also simultaneously metaphor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I understand why you feel that way. I can't say that like I consciously felt that way before, but yeah, I think you have. I think you have a point. It does. It like I think what the movie really wants you to do is zoom in on this family and these three women. Essentially, I know Peter's part of it, but even Peter at the end is possessed by Charlie. So it's really these three women: this granddaughter, daughter, and mother line.
Yeah. Because it didn't even occur to me until you just said that maybe what we were watching is Peter having a mental breakdown and deciding, because it sort of frees him from his own guilt, like, oh, I'm Charlie. Charlie's not actually dead.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastically messed up thing to think about, and I kind of love that. Yeah. Again, it's not like this bothers me. I'm not saying like this is a mistake or anything like that. It's just I'm rolling it around in my head and thinking about the construction. And it could literally just be as simple as like, hey, isn't it a really cool and messed up visual to have all these naked people in this treehouse?
It certainly is. Yeah.
Like that's because when you're doing horror, honestly, I'm serious. Like sometimes it's worth it to fudge your metaphor a little bit to have a world-class level messed up shot.
Yeah.
Like I have no problem with that, actually.
I agree. And one of my favorite shots in the entire movie is Toni Collette in the corner of the ceiling, just sitting there while Peter looks at the corpse of his father. And like Ari Aster holds on that for so long, and then we hear something, we hear creak on wood, and he looks the other way, and then she's gone. It's like just really, really effective, really effective filmmaking.
I didn't even
horror filmmaking.
I love that. My favorite was the scene before that when he wakes up in his bed and sits up in bed to look out the window at the treehouse with the light on, and she's behind him on the wall like a spider in that scene too.
Yeah.
And he's not at all aware of it in that sequence. And you see her disappear, and then it's only in the next sequence that he actually becomes kind of aware of her presence. I love it so much.
It's very effective. Also, just the idea of giving Charlie this kind of annoying click tick.
Yeah.
Specifically because then you could use that for maximal creepiness later, where you keep having everyone hear it. And again, you can play loose with that. Was that really happening, or is that just in their head because we're traumatized? Like, I mean, you cannot undersell the absolute brain destroying trauma of taking your sister to a party, failing to watch her so you could go get high with a girl. She eats a cake that is closing her throat, that maybe even if her head wasn't chopped off by a telephone pole, she would have died on the way to the hospital, right? And then, of course, doing that, you are the one that swerves and like it destroys him. It utterly destroys him. And then like his mother is just not at all in the position to help him through that at all. Yeah. It's interesting because I think his dad is supposed to be like a psychiatrist, and his dad is not helping him at all either. Like, I think the dad is probably one of the most sympathetic characters certainly more sympathetic. Well, this is unfair. I mean, I don't think we're supposed to hate him is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But he's completely out of his depth too.
He's out of his depth. I mean, I do think Peter is an interesting character to focus on because he was not, he didn't receive like the love and attention of the evil grandmother, but he also didn't really seem to receive any real positive love from his own mother because she's this horrible. It's not that, she didn't want him and felt pressured and all these things like she says later. But whether he actually heard "I never wanted to be your mother" or if that's just her dreaming, like that's how he feels. Yeah. Like he know, like he feels that constantly. He obviously does. I mean, she also does scream at him pretty horrible things at the dinner table. And, God, yeah. That scene definitely does happen. And we just see enough of their interactions to just see like, I
He's
don't know.
terrified of her. He's terrified. Like, he
Yeah.
woke up and she had covered him in paint thinner
Yeah.
and was about to light him on fire.
Well,
and then she's trying to make it feel like it wasn't a big deal. Of course it's a big deal. It's your mom.
There are these really intricately written things that she says that I, don't have memorized, so I can't repeat them. But they convey these really interesting notions of how she sees the world and relationships, where I'm going to try to approximate her line of reasoning, where it's basically like, you did something terrible, and because you didn't apologize fast enough, I couldn't forgive you quickly, and thus I resent you now. And because and now that I resent you, you need to forgive me for resenting you, but you're not going to do that. So now it's your fault that I resent you, and now it's just all broken and nothing can ever be good again.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting it quite right, obviously, but it's this weird sort of like, everything that's happening in my head is your fault, and I'm not responsible for anything that I do or say, because you made a mistake, and then then you didn't do whatever ritual it was that I imagined you should do to fix it. And that's what it comes to a peak when she gives that screaming attack at the dinner table. But it also is sort of embedded in other things that she says at different points, where you just realize, like, oh, she's just like, she's kind of a hateful, messed up person.
Yeah.
And it's just like how she has been conditioned to see the world by her horrible mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, her mom was having children in order to give a demon a host body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, she had an older brother. That was the first successful attempt. He killed himself to escape from it. And then she gets all the attention and focus and ire of her mother, but nothing good. And then her mother pressures her into having children herself to try again. She doesn't want kids, but has them anyway.
Yeah. And
so, she's this ball of resentment, and she's taking it out on everything around her. I pulled up the thing she says at the dinner.
Okay.
I think you're right. I think this is great, because she says, your sister, like, it's how funny it like ping pongs between saying something that's nice, that's nice to him, and something that's mean to him. First she starts with, all I do is worry, enslave, and defend you, and all I get back is that fucking face on your face. Which is just great. Your sister is dead, and I know you miss her, and I know it was an accident, and I know you're in pain, and I wish I could take that away for you. I wish I could shield you from the knowledge of what you did. But your sister is dead. And then the part she goes, what a waste. Like, at least if this could have maybe brought us together or something, if you could have just said, I'm sorry, or faced up to what happened. And it's just like, it's exactly what you said. It's like, you can't just come and apologize to me. And therefore this is doubly pointless.
Right. Well, and also like acting like him saying that he was sorry would have been the secret key that would have allowed this to result in healing, and not just like, you could just forgive him, right? Like, why does he's your son? Like, he's a kid.
Yeah. He's a kid, and he fucked up, and the worst possible thing that could happen happened.
Yeah.
But it was an accident, right?
Yeah, right. And he's messed, like, one thing I thought was really specific about the way the movie and the characters are built is you don't really like any of them. I mean, we said a second ago, the dad is the only one who's really played as like like a normal guy who is experiencing this. But like all of them, I mean, honestly, Peter is pretty surly and selfish, never really seems to enjoy anything. He's kind of, not that it's not understandable that he's staring at this girl's ass, but because he's a high school boy, but like he's doing it in such a like empty-eyed way that it makes you uncomfortable. And then he's like, chasing her down at the party, and it's actually just a kind of a funny, like, actual genuine comedy beat when he tries to get her alone and be like, I got some weed, and then they go into this room, and he, like, tells his sister to get lost, and then he follows her into the room, and then there's two other people in there, and you just see him kind of like stop, like, shit. I was just like, and that joke works because we don't really like him. Actually, we're kind of like, loser, and then it's not that we like him more when he accidentally kills his sister. It's just like, okay, well, now he seems like the right amount of shattered by this, and so we feel bad for him.
Right.
But he's not a likable person at any point.
No, I mean, he is a combination of just a teenager being angsty teenager stuff, and like this kind of horrifying home situation.
Yeah.
Where he's afraid of his mom, like actively afraid of his mom, and knows she doesn't, like, feels this thing where she doesn't seem to like him very much. And so he carries a lot of resentment and anger for that, just like his mom did for her mom, and it makes him not a very likable person. It makes him maybe a little dead inside, a little indifferent, a little cold, and you combine just normal teenager to that shit, and
I love the dialogue. So much of the dialogue is so sad and perfectly human, where it's like, I'm gonna go into this this barbecue with some friends later. Well, no drinking. We're teenagers. We couldn't even get alcohol if we wanted to. Well, I just asked if you were drinking. And then she turns this into bring your sister, which is just wild.
That's an incredibly insane thing to do, to like bring your sister to your high school party.
Yeah.
And this is part of, Annie has like this own level of confusion around her daughter, right? Yeah. Where like her daughter was the child that she gave to her mother, essentially. Like literally, we see through the diorama she built, literally gave her to her at birth. And so she probably feels some weird disconnect with her, and she probably reminds her of herself, probably reminds her of her mother. So she's trying to be like, oh, this will be a great, just go be normal. Go away. The idea of a 13-year-old girl going to her senior brother's high school party is actually insane.
Yeah, I was actually left unclear whether she knows that what she's asking for is ridiculous and is doing it as a sort of petty punishment, or if she is actually just so sort of spacey and in her own world that she doesn't even realize that, like, he's clearly going to a high school party and that this doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's so funny. He says at first it's just like a school barbecue thing.
Oh yeah.
And
okay,
she's like, oh, I was gonna eat here, or I was gonna cook dinner. I was like, oh, I'm eating here.
Yeah.
And she's got this confused look. You just said it was a barbecue. I was like, no, I'm just going to like hang. I think she knows it's a party. I do, but just take your sister.
Yeah, if so, then it's just pettiness, right? Which I think really emphasizes later when she's blaming him for her death, and then he throws back at her like, you were the one who asked me to take her to the party, and she knows, like, and it didn't even make sense for me to ask you to do that. I was just doing it out of pettiness, and that makes it even worse. That was my interpretation anyway. I kind of like that a lot, like different people could have different takes on these things that we're saying.
Sure.
And that's fine, because the movie leaves you unclear exactly what's happening inside people's heads, which adds to the discomfort of everything.
Yeah, man, I just really like this movie. I just think, I think because like I said, incredibly difficult time the first time I watched it, because I know it now. It was a less completely overwhelming experience, but still very much there. And one thing I'm looking forward to, Matt, is like, we didn't plan for this. We're watching Midsommar next. next week. That's our movie. Ari Aster's follow up to this movie. He made another movie 1 year later. And it's going to be fun because I think in many ways you're going to be like, oh yes, this is obviously a movie made by the guy that made Hereditary. But I also think it's very different in some ways too, in ways that I think are going to be very fun for us to talk about.
That sounds great. I'm excited.
There's definitely more comedy beats he's fitting in. It's gonna be a good one for sure.
Okay.
Anything else you wanted to say about Hereditary?
Nope. I don't think so.
Yeah. Great movie. So it is currently on our list, number 9. It is according to our patrons, the 9th best film of the 21st century. How do you feel about that?
Gosh. I mean, that seems a little high. Like, I like the movie a lot. We just had a great conversation about it. But to be honest, I'm like 9th. I don't know. What do you think? I'm totally, open to the idea that I am just not getting it because I'm not really a horror guy in the same way that a lot of our fans are, and maybe that you are. So what do you think? How do you think it falls?
Yeah, I mean, it might be a little high in the entire 21st century. I think this is a very important movie. I think this movie establishes Ari Aster, who has become a pretty big name in horror. I think it was right around the time this kind of elevated horror stuff got started. And that is, I think, not the first, but definitely one of the earliest ones of this conversation about this is what we do with our horror movies now. We do stuff like this, where it's this big metaphor. And I'm not saying we didn't do this before this, but it serves an important place in what horror in the 21st century is.
Uh-huh.
And so that feels fitting to me to be on the list, whether I think it's 9 on the list or it should be like 24 or whatever. I ultimately don't really care, but I think it deserves to be on the list.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, no, that's actually clarifying to me, because I have no problem with saying that the historical place of where it falls in horror is relevant, a relevant consideration, because I very often this is the thing we've noticed. Like, you talk about The Matrix. The Matrix is part of the reason The Matrix is the best action movie of all time is because of when it fell, and then how everyone tried to copy it.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, just for full disclosure, Hereditary and Midsommar are not actually next to each other on the list. In between them, at number 10, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which has fallen since we covered it many, many months ago.
Yeah. That's okay.
So yeah, we're going to jump from number 9 to number 11 next week, which is Midsommar. And then after that, Matt, we got Dune Part 2.
All right.
Dune Part 2. Just to let people know, we do have this weird thing where all 3 of the Lord of the Rings films are featured in this list. We've talked about this already, but just to refresh everyone's memory. Right now, number 1 is Return of the King. Number 2 is Fellowship of the Ring. And The Two Towers is number 14. So technically, when we're looking at all the movies that we're going to cover as part of this project, we're going to go all the way to number 27, because we're basically just skipping over Two Towers and Fellowship, because we covered all 3 of those movies at once in that one episode.
That's right.
So just to let you know. So right now, the final film in this project, Matt, will be Christopher Nolan's Interstellar.
Cool.
Yeah. He is on this list a lot, if you could believe it.
I can. People like him, and he makes good movies. So
we got Dark Knight, Memento, and then Annihilation. No, sorry, Interstellar. And then Inception is actually 28, so it's just outside.
Yeah. It might make it if there's more upsets.
We will find out. But for now, that's going to do it for us. So if you have any opinions on Ari Aster, on Hereditary, please reach out to us and let us know. You can reach us via email at doofmedia@gmail.com. I'm realizing right now, as I say this, Matt, that we didn't do a discussion question.
We did not. That's correct.
So sorry for going into the outro mode without realizing that. So I'm gonna exit the outro, and we're gonna go to discussion question.
That's right. The discussion question from last time was, what's your favorite horror movie or book or whatever from an artist or director or whatever who normally does comedy? So from Busy Dad 82, my best answer is really more of a weapons response: triangles. Okay. All right. On my first watch, I noticed there were triangles everywhere. As the characters run, their arms and a head form a triangle. The needles made a triangle on the cop's face. The eaves over every door except a broken triangle. Except a broken triangle over the house where Gladys is, implying that the mother-father-kid relationship is broken. I think this is further enforced by the fact that I'm pretty sure none of the kids had siblings. When you talked about the idea that Kreger was exploring a lot of themes, broken institutions being one of them, I agree. And I think dissolving the institution meant to protect the kid most, his family, had to be the biggest failure. Along with the teacher being an alcoholic and speaking of broken homes, I think there's a nod toward how kids of alcoholics have to fend for themselves and sometimes feel as though they have to care for or cover for their parents. The chicken soup is an interesting subversion of how your parents are supposed to care for you when you're a kid. Also, shout out to that kid, Carrie Christopher. His acting was extraordinary, and boy, did he have a lot of weight to carry. I really enjoyed this movie, even some of the humorous moments up until the end. I did not like the slapstick chase scene. Interesting. I didn't mind the slapstick chase scene.
I think Busy Dad has just manipulated us into getting us to talk about weapons more.
I think so. But technically, weapons is an example of the thing that we were talking about, so I guess that's okay.
Touche. Yeah, very clever.
Yeah.
Very clever. Yeah. Aqualungfish says, I'm going to say every Simpsons Treehouse of Horror in the golden years of the show. There are way too many of these things to list all the great ones, but a couple that stand out are The Shining, The Devil and Homer Simpson, and the adaptation of The Raven. A lot of these are parodies of one or more horror stories, but they were always had the Simpsons twist. They often did a great job mixing things that were unsettling to the mind of a child with knockout jokes. I don't know why I'm having trouble reading this. The tonal whiplash was key to their success. Man, I need to go back and watch these again. Yeah, no, that's a great answer. I love The Shining. The Raven was literally the first time I had heard The Raven.
Yeah,
was from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it's still my favorite poem.
Me too. I remember the kids falling into the blender being extremely disturbing to me as a child.
Yeah, like it was this weird thing where like I hadn't fully. I think there's like a part of you that still doesn't fully accept that like TV shows aren't real, even if they're made up from cartoons. And like the Treehouse of Horror stuff, especially like because they were no holds barred, there's no consequences to any of this stuff. There was, when I was young, I just remember having a lot of stress about the fact that like, but no, now they're dead now.
Yeah, right.
That's not allowed.
That's Bart and Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I mean, the gas that turns you inside out.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah,
upset me.
Was like, yeah.
I mean, it's just an upsetting idea, setting aside the fact that it's happening to your beloved characters.
Mm-hmm.
God, yeah. There's definitely more than those, but those are the ones that always come to my mind.
For sure.
All right, then from Goombill, they answer related to weapons as Barbarian was also directed by Kreger. I got to see Barbarian a couple weeks early, and being in a full theater of people who didn't know what to expect, it was electric. A great mix of horror and comedy, and no one really knew when it was okay to laugh. It made for one of my most memorable theater experiences ever.
That's great.
Oh, I love it. I still want to see that one.
Mm-hmm. You will.
All right, the remaining answers. Don Zest picks John Krasinski and A Quiet Place as an effective pairing of comedy background with suspenseful filmmaking. Sandy Bones goes with Bill Hader, saying his performance as Richie in It Chapter 2 is not one of that movie's problems, with an honorable mention to Mark Duplass in the Creep films.
Hey, we were just talking about that. Talking about those Creep films. Since Kate Siegel is going to be in an episode of the Creep show.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. I have a question for everyone for next week, Matt. We didn't write this down, but I'm doing it live.
Okay.
I want to know, what is your most viscerally uncomfortable theater experience? And I would prefer if it's because of the movie and not like some weird shit going on in the theater itself. What is the most uncomfortable you've ever been watching a movie in a movie theater? I think is a good way to frame this.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
Because of the movie. Don't tell me about the story of when someone was like having sex next to you.
Right. We've all been there. So
yeah. All right, now it is time for the outro, Matt, because that's all we have for you folks this week. Let us know what you thought about Hereditary, about Ari Aster, about our top 25 in the 21st, and also answer that discussion question. You can reach out to us via email at doofmedia@gmail.com, on Twitter @doofmedia, on Reddit, reddit.com/r/doofmedia, which is probably the best place to answer the question. But you can also just message us on Instagram @doofmedia as well.
That's right. If you're not already subscribed to this podcast, we encourage you to subscribe and ensure you never miss an episode. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere else podcasts can be found.
And if you like what we do here and want to support us, or if you just want to get your list of films added to our overarching tally for the best 25 films of the 21st century, please go over to to patreon.com/doofmedia and become a patron. As Matt said at the very beginning, once you're a patron, you can go to doofmovies.com, connect that website to your Patreon, and build your list, and that list will go into the overall list, and that will help us nail down the best 25 films of the 21st century. Of course, there's a lot of bonus stuff there as well, and if you can't support us financially, you can just become a free patron. There's tons of stuff you can do there as a free patron. Matt, we just hit our goal. We just did it. We have 1,000 total patrons right now, which is awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. This is awesome. I'm so excited. 3 digits. It's nice.
3 digits.
I mean, four digits.
Jesus.
What comes after that? That's right, 5 digits. So let's get us to 10,000. It's only twice as many as 1,000 in log space.
Get to work, everyone. There's tons of stuff over the Patreon, whether you're a paying member or a free member. There's stuff for you over there. You want to check out Matt's Choose Your Own Adventure story that is continuing to be written every week over there. You can read it at any level, free or paid, but only our members get to vote where the story goes.
That's right. Also, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Each review helps us get more exposure and introduces new people to the content that we make here.
All right, folks, that is it. Next week, more Ari Aster, more creepy stuff, more decapitation, maybe? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's Midsummer next week. We'll see you then.
All right.
My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say. My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say.